Namaste yogis, welcome back to your practice and to your mats. We're back again for another session under the Yin Yoga series here at the Hideout called the Homecoming. So essentially Homecoming is a series that is designed to bring you home to yourself. So in this fourth session, we are going to focus into the meridian pair of Pericardium and Triple Burner. Pericardium is essentially a layer that protects the heart. So you can imagine that to be kind of like a layer of protection over the heart. And then your triple burner is broken down into a group of functions. So you have your upper burner, which is this part here, and that covers your heart and your lungs. You have your middle burner, where we have our stomach, our spleen, and our gallbladder. And then we have the lower burner, which is where your kidney, your bladder, your small and your large intestines are. Okay, so because it is a whole group of functions, or rather it covers groups of functions, you have your upper, middle, and lower. It doesn't necessarily just work into one organ, but it is a whole thing that works as an entire machine. So with this, your pericardium and triple burner is tied very closely to the emotions of stress and anxiety. So it governs how we respond in stressful situations, particularly the whole thing about your fight, your flight, and your freeze mode. So the way we respond, we can clearly see if there are a certain form of imbalance in our pericardium and triple burner meridians. So the areas that we focus on for our poses that would be moving through the meridian pathways of this pair is a lot to do with the head, the neck, the shoulders, the arm lines, your chest space, as well as your midsection. Okay, so that covers your pericardium and triple burner very fully. And we will be moving into an affirmation for our practice today. And this will help maybe ground us a little better. It will help to center us. And it will maybe give us a bit of stability in the way that we respond to stressful situations. Okay, so the affirmation that we will be moving through today, through our practice, will be, I am grounded, centered, and stable. I am grounded, centered, and stable. So as always, I will be repeating this throughout our practice. You may prepare your props in case you need them. And also for today, we'll be using a little bit of wall. So if you can bring your mat towards a wall, it may be helpful. Okay, so whenever you're ready, let's go ahead and get started. We'll start upright in a seated position that is comfortable to you. You can begin to close down your eyes. And then just allow the shoulders to be easy. Notice if you are clenching any part of the body here, whether it's around the jaw, maybe it's around the eyelids, maybe even the cheekbones, the forehead, maybe higher up towards the crown of the head. Just pay attention to how the body is feeling at this moment. And then see if you can intentionally begin to soften out those parts of the body. We begin with a couple rounds of breath here in our upright seat. And you'll take your time to allow this to settle in. Let's take about 3 breaths first to start. Let's take just one last breath here. Now exhale out your final breath completely. Take in your next inhale for a count of 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale for 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Last inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale for 4, 3, 2, 1. Coming back to your own natural breathing. Take maybe 1 or 2 more breaths here. Now exhale your last breath fully out. Take in your next inhale and then see if you can press the breath all the way down towards the base of the spine, or all the way down towards your seat. And then exhale, slowly release the breath. Let's do that 2 more times. Take in your next inhale, Press it all the way down. So keep filling up, filling up, filling up. Let the breath move all the way down. And then exhale, release the breath. Let's do that one more time at your own pace. Inhale to fill up, up, up. Push it down, down, down. Exhale to release the breath. Now come back to your natural breathing. Notice any changes in the body, any changes around you. Take maybe 1 or 2 more breaths here, just returning to a state of ease. And then place one hand to the heart, one hand to the belly. Feel the breath even more prominently here with the hands on the body. And then we'll repeat this affirmation to ourselves again. I am grounded, centered, and stable. I am grounded, centered, and stable. Release the hands onto the knees again. Give yourselves maybe 2 more breaths here. Allowing this affirmation to sink in, allow it to move through you with the breaths. And then whenever you're ready, start to blink the eyes open. Okay, we'll begin with the wall. So let's go ahead and scoot our way back towards the wall. Now you might sit sideways, so I'm going to move the body to the side. So you can just come into a comfortable upright seat, or if you prefer, depending on how the body feels, you may step your feet onto the floor. Okay, so take your time here. You may even extend the legs forward. So just notice what feels most comfortable to you here. Now from here, we're just going to work into opening the shoulder that is closer to the wall, whether it's your right or your left. You're going to take that hand back behind you. Your palm is pressing into the wall. Okay, so from here, the shoulders are pretty relaxed. So you can just allow it to be very passive here. You can walk the hands further away from you. You can take it higher. You can take it lower. You may even explore a cactus arm position, so elbow can be bent. And then from here, you're just going to allow for this sense of heaviness to fall towards the wall. So whether that means your side of the head is resting into the wall, or maybe you're just moving a little closer towards the wall. But of course, as always, if you start to feel like the sensation is a bit too much, you can give yourself space from the wall and you can readjust the positioning of the hand. Okay, so from here, doesn't matter where your legs end up going in this position. Just find comfort into the seat and then just allow for weight to fall towards that shoulder that is against the wall. Once you found your shape, let's be here. We'll take just about 5 breaths here. See if you can allow for the rest of you to be easy and soft, even towards the facial muscles. Okay, whenever you start to feel certain parts of the body are tensing up, and can you direct your breaths there? So maybe the inhales are moving to a certain part of the body so that the exhales can encourage a sense of release. Let's take maybe 3 to 4 more breaths here. Just 2 to 3 more, staying with the breath, staying in your stillness if possible. Last breath or 2 here. And we'll just finish off our last slow breath. And with your exhale, start to release, so press away from the wall. Release your hand, your shoulder. And then from here, you're just going to sit up against the wall. Okay, so have your back against the wall, legs in any position that works for you. I'm just going to be in a cross-legged position. Now from here, your arm that was against the wall, so for me it was my right, it's going to go across the chest to hold on to the opposite thigh. And then the other hand, my left hand, is going to thread underneath the right. Okay, so to find the opposite thigh as well. Now from here, you might walk the hands forward closer to the knees. You might bring them closer to the hips. Wherever you are, just allow the chin to tuck down towards the chest. So it's just a very small rounded spine, not too much here. So you don't feel this all the way down towards the lower back, but just into the neck and maybe into the upper back. Give yourselves about 3 breaths here. We're just releasing into the sensations that you may have felt in that first position against the wall. So soften out as much as you can here. Just another 2 more breaths. And we'll take our last one here. And then exhale, begin to lift the chin. You can lean back into the wall, release the hands, and just find an upright seat. Give yourself a moment to just notice how the body responds here. Feel again the hips rooted into the mat or into the floor, finding that sense of groundedness even in positions that you may not necessarily notice. So whether you were against the wall earlier or just a moment ago when we had our backs rounded, see if you're able to direct your attention to your seat. Notice where the hips are rooted into the mat, and it creates a sense of stability, a sense of being centered, and then hopefully it anchors you into this sense of calmness. 1 more breath here. Okay, from here start to open your eyes again. Let's go ahead and turn to the second side. Find your way against the wall. Okay, so you can take a different leg position if you prefer. And then now this time, the second arm is going to go back. The palm is on the wall. You can adjust here. So just notice how this feels first. Maybe you like to keep it straight. Maybe your elbow is bending. Maybe your hand is a little higher than the shoulder, or maybe it's slightly lower. Okay, then from here we'll just have the pressure against the wall. Okay, just testing how it feels for this shoulder. And then maybe if it gets too much, you'll create a bit of space. So you're just going to space the body away from the wall just a little. And once you're ready, we'll find stillness again, softening into the rest of the body. In postures like this, we're not commonly in this position where the shoulders are open through the frontal lines of the shoulders. So it may be uncomfortable once we get into the posture. But as always, as per our yin practice, we have a little bit of time in the postures. So allowing this to linger will hopefully create a bit of change in the sensation. Maybe it gets a little easier. Maybe it remains the same, or maybe it intensifies. So just notice your experience here. Just about 5 more breaths. Take about 3 more here. And take your last breath here. Now carefully remove the body from the wall. Release the hand. And go ahead and lean back, facing away from the wall. So find your moment here, adjust your seat. And then the hand that was on the wall is going to go across first towards the thigh. And then the other hand threads under towards the opposite thigh. Okay, so again here you're adjusting. Maybe the hands are closer towards the hips, or maybe they're closer to the knees. Allowing the chin to move down here. So you're just finding space, almost like a counter stretch for the shoulders. At the same time, it's still moving through the meridian pathways of the arms and the shoulders. We'll take about 3 to 4 breaths here. Last 2 breaths. And take your last breath here. Now lift the chin, release the hands, and find your upright seat once again. And this time you're again noticing the grounding sensation of the hips onto the mats or onto the floor. You may be breathing in the way of which we started our practice, the inhale pressing all the way down to your seat, and the exhale is a gentle release. Notice if that form of breathing helps to establish the root of the body, which is the parts of the body that are touching the floor. And with this connection to the earth, hopefully it helps to establish a sense of groundedness, stability, and just a sense of centering the body, finding its anchor, finding its weight. And just one more breath here. Now begin to open your eyes. Okay, you can move away from the wall this time. So coming back onto your mat. Now we use all of our props for this last posture. So I'm going to set up my blocks first. I'm going to take the blocks behind us. So maybe the first block is a little higher and the second one is a little lower. Okay, so this will elevate your bolster, which is going to go over the blocks. Now another option for the blocks is if this is too high, you're just going to drop the first block to a lower level and you remove this completely. So the elevation is a little closer to the mat. Okay, so I'll be doing the first version. Feel free to adjust yours. And then from here, we'll place your bolster, pillow, or anything that you have at home over your props. Now you're going to take your sacrum against the bolster. So you're facing away from your props. And you can almost feel like your sacrum is touching the bolster here. And then you could open up your feet, stepping your 2 feet onto the mats, have them wide. Make sure you're in a comfortable position, and then we'll take this time to lie all the way back onto our props. Okay, so feel free to adjust the positioning of your hips. And then let your head rest all the way down with your arms open to your sides. Now we'll pause here for just a moment. Noticing the space that you may be feeling around the chest, around the shoulders, the front line of the shoulders, maybe even into the arm lines as your arms are open to the sides of your body. You may even feel a little bit of sensation down the belly here as you find your root all the way down to the mat. So from the belly, this anchors you all the way down the hips onto the mat. Let's just be here for about 4 to 5 breaths. See if you're able to just allow the body to find a sense of heaviness over your props. Let's take about 3 more breaths here. And we'll come into our last breath here. Now we'll begin by gently opening the eyes. Now you're going to bring your palms next to your hips, pressing the palms down into the mat. Now we'll start by tucking the chin in, so you're lifting the head away from the mat. Okay, or away from the bolster. Press your hands down into the mat and then lift the body away from your props. Okay, so you're pressing yourselves up into a seated pose. Now just going to bring the hips a little closer to the bolster first. Now sitting up tall, from here, we're going to allow your knees to come down to the right side of the mat. Okay, so your feet are still wide apart. Let the knees come down to the right side. And with this, your upper body is going to swivel around, turning to look back at your bolster. Okay, once you're facing your bolster, your hands are going to frame the bolster. So right hand is on the right side, left hand is on the left side of the bolster. Now from here, you could choose to just bring your right cheek down to rest onto the bolster. And then you could maybe hold on to the bolster, finding the blocks. Or if you prefer, you can lift yourself up again. It depends on how the neck feels here. Maybe the left cheek comes down. Okay, so it's a little uncomfortable for me, so I will be modifying this to look towards the first side, where I have my right ear down to the mat. Okay, so take your time to adjust here. Wherever you may be, you have this sense of a twist in your spine. You have some movement around the sides of the body. You have a little bit of sensation around the shoulders. And this moves up towards the neck as well as the side of the head. So in this final posture of your practice, allow the weight of the body to come down onto your props and for the hips to get heavy on the mat. Let's go ahead and give ourselves maybe about 6 to 8 breaths here. Your hands can be in a very restful position. And if it feels like a bit of effort to hold on to the bolster or your props, just allow the hands to rest onto the mat. We've got about 5 to 6 more breaths. Just another 4 more breaths here. Last 3 breaths, knowing and acknowledging that your props, your mat, the ground beneath you are all there to support you and to give you a sense of groundedness. Last breath or 2 here. And then very softly you could start to open up your eyes. Have your hands turning down to the mat, pressing into your hands. Lift the body away from your props. And then start to turn towards the front again. So guiding yourself slowly and gently away from the twist. And then just finding an upright seat. Take a moment here. You can softly close down your eyes. Let the hands rest on top of your knees again. And let's be here for about 2 to 3 breaths before we swap over to the second side. Let's take just one more breath here. Now softly open up your eyes and take your hands by the side of your hips. Step your feet onto the mat and then readjust here again. So you might just scoot back so that your sacrum is closer to the bolster. Now with the feet open wide, this time the knees will come down towards the left side of the mat. Okay, so continue to turn upper body to face down towards the bolster and then adjust the hands to frame the bolster. So again, you could test this out. Maybe it's just that left ear coming down. Maybe you try towards the second side. Maybe it feels a little more accessible here, maybe it doesn't. And just begin to find your variation here as you settle into your twist. So just making adjustments before you find stillness, making sure that the body is feeling a little more easeful here. So the initial sensations in the spine may be there, but eventually when we stay a little longer in the posture, the body will start to adjust and start to adapt to the shape. We've got about 6 to 8 breaths, final posture of this practice. And just about 5 to 6 more breaths here. Last 3 breaths. Maybe you feel the body is heavier on top of your props, a bit more relaxed. Just your last breath here. Now, whenever you're ready, eyes start to open. Palms press into the floor, lifting the head away from the bolster. Untwist your spine here, facing the front. Now this time, instead of an upright seat, we'll just lie all the way back. So readjust your body, make sure you're comfortable here. And go ahead, let the body rest all the way down. You might get a little more comfortable releasing your hair tie, your glasses. And then from here, let the hands open up by the sides again. Now, this time we're moving into a version of your Shavasana, or your final resting pose. And that could be with the feet stepping on the mat like it already was. Or you could extend your legs long, coming into Shavasana. Or the other option would be to take a butterfly position if it's comfortable in your body. Okay, otherwise just allowing the legs to fall into any position that feels supported to you at this moment. Making any final adjustments here. Checking that the body is easy, the body is soft, and moving towards a state of rest. The Shavasana is the time for us to just check in at the start of it. Notice how you're feeling at this moment as compared to the beginning of practice, if anything else has changed. And then allow those observations to gently fade away. So at this moment here, we're no longer aware. We're no longer thinking about how the body feels, or we're no longer noticing anything about the body or anything beyond the body. At this moment, we're just encouraging a sense of rest that is so well deserved. And rest is the antidote to finding a sense of calmness, sense of ease, a sense of stability throughout us, the anchor that helps us to adjust our responses to situations that may not be favorable in our lives. So even now, more than ever, just allow your body to take rest. Give permission for your body to completely rest. Shavasana. Yogis, if you have the time and space to pause here a little longer, I encourage you to take a little bit more extra time in your Shavasana. And if you're closing your practice anytime soon, feel free to close your practice in a way that serves you today. And I'll be leaving you here, and hopefully this gives you a sense of ease so that you move through your day outside of your mat with a bigger sense of calmness, a bigger sense of balance, and a bigger sense of groundedness. And with that, I thank you for practicing along with us. I will see you in the next one. Namaste, yogis.